Hi guys, and welcome back here to the Dev Realm. And today we have a couple of extra series and extra tutorial parts for this inventory. So at this point, what we did here is that we successfully implemented the load and the saving part. But what I would like here today is the ability to split this item. But first, I need to add something to actually allow us to limit how many items per stack you want. So for example, if you have two swords and you merge, then inside the same widget, would like to unify the assets, at least for the grid version of it, right? So we need to do this first. So the first thing we're gonna need to do here is that we're gonna go back to the master inventory, and we are gonna go back here to I think it's called variables, and we're gonna go back to the SD item, right? And then inside the item, what I would like to do here is that I would like to create split settings. So I'm gonna create here a blueprint, and then in here I'm going to create a new structure, and I'm going to call this SD item split settings. The reason why I'm creating as a blueprint here as a new variable structure is just it's easy for us to, it's shorter. So basically we're just gonna say here can be stacked, right? And what we're gonna add here, another one, it's gonna be max stack per slot, or just max stack, right? And then we can basically give him a count, right? Now we are gonna open up here our SD item. Here we're gonna add a new variable, and we're gonna call this stack settings. All right. Now in here, what I'm gonna search for is the SD item, and we're gonna search for SD item or item split settings. Actually, I'm just gonna save that. But before I save this, I am just gonna rename this. I'm just gonna close everything. I'm just gonna rename this item split to item stack settings. I think would make more sense. So stack. Now instead of saving everything now, what we're gonna do is that we're just gonna close and we're gonna reload the engine, so we avoid the issue that we always have with Unreal, which is that in a case that if you do have that, make sure you just deleted everything, like just save the structure but don't save everything else, exactly like how I did here. This is just so you avoid potential issues in the future with the engine itself. So it's just a way to avoid having problems with the engine. So once the engine is boot up, I will resume the video. All right guys, so the engine is load backed, and now if you go back to, let's say, the master inventory, go back to the data tables, and we go here to the inventory settings, we are gonna see not the settings, the items, you are gonna see that we have a new option inside the Apple called stack settings. So in this case, we are gonna check this as true, and we're gonna say that we can stack 3 apples per slot. All right. So now what happened is that we go back, we get the item, right? And when I get the apple there, I would like to create 3 and then 2 here. The reason why we're doing this is because now we want to be able to stack. And imagine that if in the future, you want to have that kind of thing, you have it right here. So now what we would like to do is that we need to update a little bit how we add the item. So we're going to go back to the master inventory, and we need to open up the BPC inventory. And then in here, we have the add inventory item, right? So we're going to go back to this function called fn add inventory item, right? And there we go. So what we got to do here is that first we need to identify if this item can be stacked. So first we need to do something, let's say like this. So we first need to get, let's say we're gonna get the item. So we're gonna break the item. And we're gonna basically get the quantity of the item. And we need to make sure that is greater than the one of the stack settings, right? So what we're going to do here is we need to just plug this data right there, right? So also we need to create here a branch. Basically, we need to create a branch anyway, but we need to do this. Is the quantity of the items greater than the max stack? And in this case, we want to make sure that it can be stacked, right? So if that's false, we carry on whatever we're doing before. But if that's not the case, then we need to basically do a different logic, right? We need to handle that in a better way. And what we are going to basically do here is that we need to get basically the current quantity, and we need to remove based on the max stack, right? So what happened here is that we're gonna basically get the quantity that we have, which we already have here. So we're gonna basically create a variable called, let's say, target quantity. Okay. And what we're gonna do here is that we're just gonna set it on the start, so that's gonna be easy for us to work, right? And I am even thinking that, you know what, guys, I think what we could do it here to make it things easier is that we just gonna delete this. I'm gonna delete all this stuff, and I am gonna keep the FN inventory right here. Okay, so this is gonna be kept the way it is normally. But what we're gonna do here is that we are gonna basically delete this target quantity because it doesn't return anything. So I'm gonna create a new function to which in essence will handle only that for us. So I'm gonna go back to the inventory, and then in here we're gonna have to basically create a new function, and we are gonna call this fn get slot item stack. So we are gonna basically add the item right here, and we're gonna paste this information right there. And in here, we need to basically do that logic that we were doing before. So I'm just gonna put it here. The item will be comment right there. So this is gonna be the item, right? And we are actually gonna copy and save here. We're gonna promote this locally. So we're gonna create a local variable. And now we go everything that we needed here. So if this is false, we're just gonna return, let's say, array, right? Sorry, we're gonna return here array, and this is gonna be the item. So adding item, and this is gonna be a st item, okay? And this is gonna be array, and we're gonna add here a new value. So we're gonna actually not add, but we wanna make array. And of course, the item that we're adding here, so this is just gonna be original item, right? So we're gonna add it here. Those values coming from there. Plug it. And we do this stuff right there. Cool. Now we get the original item right here, which is good. So we get the original item right there. And what we do after this is that we need to now calculate how many more items, how many versions of this item we do. In essence, we just need to duplicate everything, but we need to figure out how to do it using like a for loop or something, right? So what we need to do here is that we need to, I think, do, we could do a for loop, I'm just trying to see here. Yeah, we can do a while loop, right? A while loop. And basically, we need to create a new variable. Oh, not a new event, sorry. We're just going to do a new variable. And we are going to call this item split, right? This is going to be set to true, right? Let me just rename to item split. Compile and save this information. Now we're going to add the item split right here, which is good. And now, of course, that we have one is completed, but then we can return, but we have the loop body, right? So what we want to do here is that we want to get the target quantity, and we need to basically get, so that's the target quantity that we got here. And, or actually, instead of target, I'm just going to call this current, current quantity. Oh, no, current, there you go, current quantity. And here I am just going to promote this. I mean, to be honest, I don't need to promote that, but I'm just going to promote it to be easy to work, which is going to be the target stack, right? Target stack. We put it here, and this one, it's going to go right there. Cool. So that's fine. Now, what we're going to do here is that if the current quantity is greater than the target stack, right? Target stack. So if it's greater, not greater or equal, but actually greater, right? Basically, we need to create here a branch, right? And if this is the case, if this is true, right? What we're going to do is that the current quantity will basically set to be current quantity minus, sorry, here, minus the target stack. So what we're going to do here is that we are going to basically remove from the current quantity the target stack because it's greater than the max allowed quantity. And then what we can do here is on here, actually, I'm going to have to promote this to a local variable, and I'm going to call this return items. Okay. And we're going to basically just return the items, and on the return here, we just need to set this, we need to add this value. So we're just going to basically need to get this, maybe add, and we just plug this value right here, and that's it. This is just when you return, because every time it's fine if in the case you already have the slot and the max stack or whatever, so you just want to return the same item. Otherwise, you're going to return an array of items that you can add. That's all I'm trying to do here. So let's go back here to in the case that we can actually stack. So the item split is true, so it's going to keep looping. And basically what happens is that we're going to get a quantity. So the current quantity is greater than the target stack. So if that's true, then the current quantity will subtract the target stack. Now we have the current quantity. But what you would like to do here is that you want to do this, and basically you want to add an item, right? And the item that you like to add here is basically the original item right here, but I think you want to get, can I create a copy or well, It's just the same item, okay? Exactly the same item. But now we need to get the return item here, and we need to basically get a reference. And we got the index right here. And from here, you want to set the member. And the member that we want to set here is the quantity, which in this case will be, let's say if we're doing the apples example, should be the target stack, should be 3. All right. Now, we need to do the other case scenario. So in the other case, it's just the same logic we had right there. But instead of using the target stack, we're just going to use the current quantity. Because at this point, the current quantity, it's already the value. Because you remember, we are diminishing, let's say here, right? We're diminishing the value there. So it does the loop, which is great. So is current quantity greater than that? Yes. So we do the value, comes here. Well, actually, what we gotta do here, so we're doing the loop. So we let me just double check. So use the current quantity and use stack true. So it goes there. There you go, guys. We need to basically do this check before. So what we need to do here is this. We pasted the value right here. We added that. Okay. Now what happened is that you want to basically check the current quantity, right? Is the current quantity still greater than the target stack? In this case, I would say, I think greater or equal, okay? Is it greater or equal than the target stack? So in this case, if it's true, then what's going to do, we're going to carry on and add the target stack, right? But then if it's false, which means it's the last loop, we come in here, we basically add the current quantity, and we set the item split to false. And now when the complete, all you got to do is just the return, right? You just call the return. Return. And we need to return the items right here. Now let's see if this works. So what we're going to do here is that when we add the items on a multicast, right? This needs a little bit more space. So I'm just going to add a little bit more space right here, right? So what happened here is that we need to call that function the get item slot stack, right? This will return us an array of items. So from here, we just do a for each loop. We plug this right there, right? From each item, you need to do that. And basically, we just need to, well, in this case, we would need to make sure that it's added for sure. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to delete this. And then from the completed, I'm just going to move it right to destroy actor, right? Now, in theory, the apple should work with no issues. So if I get that and get the apple, so it's still added as 1. So let me double check. Oh yeah, sorry, because we need to plug the value here. It was passing through the wrong value. I think that's fine. So if I add that and add here, so I have 2, but for some reason, it's not adding the last item. So let's double check what's going on here. So I'm going to do a print on the string here. I'm going to do another print on the string right test here, right? Let's see what's going to happen. So if I go get the apple. So if I see, it gives me infinite loop alert. That's not good because I have to plug that. So if I go back here and get this, so it only triggers the test. It doesn't trigger the value right here. I see. This is because the first loop This is to do with the first loop. Okay. To be honest, what I think here is that this logic, it was right the way it was before. So let me just copy this. And then from here, what we need to do is that. So is it greater or equal than the max stack? So in that case, that will be true. And then we just need to plug this value right here. I know it's a little bit of a mind-bending logic, but it's just how we basically have to stack stuff up, right? And now, as you can see, things are working pretty well. Let's see what happens if we add here, let's say, maybe 10 apples. What's going to happen? So we should go back and get a 10. So 3, 6. So now we have 9 and then 1. And I think we got everything right. So if I open up here the dt-item, right? What I would like to do here is that I would like to make sure the max stack is 1. So in theory, when I get an apple, which is this last item for some reason. Oh, I got a sword. But you see, now it's adding 1 as an extra. So it's adding 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then it's adding 1 more. Let me double check. Why is... I mean, this is pretty, to be honest. Like, stacked with 1 is fine. But it's adding... So 4, 8, 9, 10. And then it's adding 1 more. I'm not entirely sure why is it doing that. Let me double check. I guess we can also make sure. Yeah, it's still doing the same thing, you know, still adding the 0 item there at the end. So let me double check what happened if we added the way it was to 3. We go back. And we add it right here, right? We got a sword. So it's adding 1 more. So it's stacking up. So it's always adding 0 for some reason. So if I add by 2 here, as you can see, and then I have 10. So in theory, I should have 1, 2, so 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then he is adding 1 more. Let's double check. Why is it doing that with the logic, right? Because why is it adding 1 extra? So I think what it's doing here... So what we're doing here is that we only finish splitting the item here, right? So we add a copy, the original item. We add a copy and we set the quantity to 0. Maybe. Let me just double check here. I know this is a very long tutorial, but I think we need to understand exactly how this is doing here because, you know, if you're creating a game where you have to stack things, this is a way of doing that. So now what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to print the hello here, right? I'm going to get the current quantity and paste it right there. And let's see, why is it setting to 0? So if I get it, so it is setting up to 0. So the last loop is setting up to 0. So what we got to do here is I am pretty sure we got to do a little check, right? And the check will be, it's going to create a branch. Branch. The check is going to be that is this greater than 0, right? If it's greater than 0, then yeah, sure, carry on, do whatever. But if for some reason the item split is not, then we need to do, we just need to stop the loop. Because at this point, I don't care about adding 0 items to my player. And that should be working. So if I go here and add, now we have 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There you go, guys. And now, you know, like, I think we can even do, this is very stupid, but, you know, if you set this to 1, basically works the way it was. But, you know, it's just that, like, it's fine, I guess. Yeah, I think, for example, the sword here, please can be stacked and only 1 per item. Now, if I get the sword here, and I decided to add, let's say, 3 swords. I don't know, like, normally things like this, you will only drop by 1. But look at this. we can only get one per slot. The next thing that we gotta do here, guys, is that we need to figure out a way, right, to prevent adding if the inventory is full. So for example, right, I'm just gonna make sure the sword can't be stackable because it only has one all the time, right? So for example, if I get here, I'm gonna add, let's say, a couple more, right? What I would like to do here is that right now I have full inventory, so I'm gonna get here and this, it's full. Now if I add here, it's just, I mean, it's not working, right? It's not adding anything, but it's deleting the item. So the problem is that we need to make sure that we do a double check to say if the items are full, does the player has available slots. So that's what we're going to be doing here in the next lesson. So once again, if this got a little bit confused, just, you know, rewatch the pieces by pieces and parts by parts. But I think that our inventory now with this new feature, it looks much more like let's say a RPG, you know, like it looks very much like a proper, let's say, World of Warcraft, where you get items and they stack. So one of the next things as well is the ability to split a single slot. That's one of the things that we're looking forward to add as well. But in the next one, we need to fix that issue with the stack. So once again, guys, thank you very much for watching. Let me know if you like those extra lessons, if they're useful to you. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one.